All right, today we're going to get into something powerful, something that can be pretty destructive if we don't understand it. We're talking about the anatomy of obsession. So let me just ask you something right off the bat, and be honest with yourself. Why do you obsess over the person who ignores you? That person who's distant, unavailable. Why are they the one you just can't get out of your head? And then there's the flip side of that coin, isn't there? Why does the person who actually treats you well, the one who's kind and consistent, why do they sometimes feel a little boring? It doesn't really make any sense, right? Logically, it just doesn't add up.
Well, what if I told you this has almost nothing to do with love? And it's not even really about the chase. What if your own brain, your own biology, is being used against you? Yeah, you're not in love. You are being hacked.
So that brings us right to our first stop, the dopamine hack. We're going to look at how that feeling of not knowing, that uncertainty, can become one of the most powerful addictions out there. The secret sauce behind this whole hack, it's a psychological principle called intermittent reinforcement. And it's actually pretty simple. It just means that getting a reward at random, unpredictable times is way more addictive than getting it every single time. Seriously, it's the exact reason a slot machine is so addictive. And guess what? It works just as well in our relationships. Okay, to really get this, we've got to go back in time, back to the 1950s, to let's just say, a very famous experiment. We're going to talk about a pigeon in a box, and the guy who ran the show, B.F. Skinner, who basically discovered the unbelievable power of the word maybe. So look at this. The results are just wild. On one hand, you've got the pigeon that gets a food pellet every single time it pecks a button. What happens? It gets bored. It only pecks when it's hungry. Simple. But then look at the other condition. The reward is totally random. The food comes out whenever. And that pigeon, it goes absolutely nuts. It becomes obsessed, pecking that button thousands of times an hour. So what is going on in our brains when this happens? Well, when that reward is unpredictable, our brain goes into overdrive. It can't figure out the pattern. This uncertainty lights up what's called the seeking circuit, and that floods your system with dopamine. And here's the kicker. Dopamine isn't really about pleasure. It's about motivation. It's the chemical of wanting. So you literally get addicted to the seeking, to the chase itself, not the thing you're actually chasing. Let's be really clear about this, because this is the whole point. You are not addicted to the person. You are addicted to the seeking. It's not about them. It's about a chemical process that has hijacked your brain. Okay, so that's the science. But let's see how this plays out in the real world on a massive, historical scale. Because this isn't some new thing. This is a story as old as power itself. Welcome to a royal addiction, the king, the queen, and the crash. And this timeline, wow, it just lays it all out, doesn't it? You've got King Henry VIII, probably the most powerful man in his world. He gets whatever he wants. He wants Anne Boleyn to be his mistress. She says no. And that one no, it kicks off a 6-year-long chase, a game of hope and refusal, of intermittent reinforcement. He's so obsessed, so hooked on the seeking, that he literally breaks England away from the entire Catholic Church just to have her. But then, look what happens. He gets her, they marry in 1533, the chase is over, and just 3 years later, the obsession is gone, replaced by hatred. He has her executed. And you can hear the addiction in his own words. These are from one of his actual letters to her. He sounds absolutely desperate. He writes, "I beg to know expressly your intention touching the love between us, having been for above a whole year stricken with the dart of love." He sounds like a junkie, right? He's completely hooked on the seeking. This is the dopamine crash in action. The second the chase ended, the second Anne went from being this unpredictable prize to being his wife, poof, the dopamine disappeared. And that's when the idealization, the obsession, it just flips instantly to devaluation. The high was gone, and all that was left was the crash. Okay, so this isn't just some dusty old history lesson. This exact same psychological trap is all around us right now. It's the modern Skinner box. So let's talk about how to spot this pattern in your own life. And this thing, intermittent reinforcement, it hides in plain sight. It's the partner who disappears for days and then shows up with flowers. It's the boss who criticizes you for months and then throws you one tiny piece of praise that feels like the best thing ever. It's even built into our tech. Think about a dating app that's dead silent for a week and then bam, a sudden flood of matches. In every one of these cases, you're the pigeon and you're pecking that button, hoping for a reward.
And this is so important to understand. It's the core of how this works. If someone was just mean to you 100% of the time, you'd leave. Of course you would. It's the little bits of kindness, the unpredictability of it. That's what keeps you hooked. The kindness is the trap.
All right, so after all that, how do you get out of it? How do you break free and stop being the pigeon in the box? Well, there's a way. Let's get into our final section, how to break free, using something called the Stability Filter Protocol. The very first step, and this is a big one, is changing what you're looking for. It's about choosing consistency over intensity. We're taught to chase the roller coaster, the drama, the butterflies. But let's be real, a lot of the time those butterflies are just anxiety. The goal here isn't chaos, it's calm. It's about reframing what you thought was boring and realizing, oh, that's what safety and stability actually feel like. Okay, so this breaks down into 3 simple rules. Rule number 1, start measuring people by their consistency, not the intensity of their promises. Do their actions actually line up with their words day in and day out? Rule number 2, adopt a zero-tolerance policy for that hot and cold behavior. Stop trying to figure it out. Just see it for what it is, a giant red flag. And finally, rule number 3, if you're already in deep, you have to detox. That means no contact. You have to give your brain a chance to reset its chemistry and break the addiction. And that brings us to one last crucial piece of advice. Think back to Boleyn. She tried to be the drug. She tried to control the king by being his unpredictable fix, and we all know how that ended for her. So do not try to be the drug, and for your own sake, do not fall in love with the junkie. So, intermittent reinforcement, it's all about getting you hooked on a person, on the chase. But there's a form of manipulation that's even darker. It's more insidious. It's not about hooking you. It's about making you question your own sanity. Which leads to a really terrifying question. What happens when someone denies your reality so often that you actually stop trusting your own eyes?